we have for our speakers. I have the 3 cups, green, orange, red. So for the prepared speech, the first one, Diego, is a smaller speech. So it's a 1 to 2 minutes is green, and then orange, and then followed by red after that. And the second speech is our regular speech, 5 to 7. Less than 5 minutes is green, 5 to 7 is orange, and more than 7 is red. And the table topic is our 1 to 2 minutes instant speak opportunity. So 1 to 2 minutes, we are good, we are green. More than 2 minutes, 1 to 2 is less than 1 minute is green. At 2 minutes, we go orange, and more than 2 minutes is red. And evaluation falls in the same bucket. Under 2 is green. At after 2 to 3 is orange, and after 3 is red for evaluations. I would make a note of the times and relay it back to the general evaluator after the speech evaluations. Back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Majid. I like the cups. Is that from your child? Or do you use by yourself, for yourself? Okay, next I'll counter Sean.
I'll be doing I'll be the I counter for tonight, so I'll be looking for filler words such as so, and other filler words.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. Next, our grammarian is for tonight, Luke.
All right, good evening, everybody. So I'll be the grammarian for the evening. My job is to note any incorrect use of the English language and also to present the word of the day. So the word of the day is, I'm gonna hold it up, is unctuous. It took me a minute to figure out how to say this word. And so a quick definition, and then I'll use it in a sentence. So unctuous, other words that you might relate this to would be oily or swarmy or over flattering. So used in a sentence, he seemed anxious to please, but not in an unctuous way. And I will turn it back over to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Luke. You're totally not unctuous.
Thank you.
Next, our general evaluator is, I'm sorry, I see the blank. Who
It's me again.
Luke, okay. Luke again, please.
Okay, good evening once again. So I'll be the general evaluator. So my role is to evaluate the meeting as a whole, and I'll also be calling on my evaluation team. So we'll have 2 evaluations tonight for the 2 speeches. Then I will call on myself as a grammarian, the all counter, and the timer to all give their reports. Back to you, Kara.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you for the double roles. Next table topic master, Maurice. Yay.
Yes. Tonight I'll be leading the impromptu speeches with a few topics, and you have 1 to 2 minutes to do an impromptu speech on that topic. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maurice. Tonight we have an education overview. I'm not sure we have Cheyenne here. I guess not. Do we have her? No. Okay. If she show up late, maybe she can speak. If not, we can move on next. All right. First portion of this meeting is prepare speech. first speaker is Diego. I don't see the title, but I'm sure it's exciting speech. Thank you, Diego.
Thank you, Carrie. Bear with me, folks, as I pull up my PowerPoint. Thank you so much, Carrie, and thank you all so much for your attention tonight on my prepared speech from Level 4 Innovative Planning, which involves managing projects successfully. Now, this is the first speech of this type of speech topic, where I just give a brief overview of what my project is and what I hope to, and what steps I'm going to take to accomplish this goal of mine. As you guys know, I'm very involved with analytical chemistry research and looking at environmental pollution issues. And one of the important steps that I need to be able to do as a chemist is to be able to create samples of water that are not contaminated, because there are many chemistry steps that one needs to do to go from taking a water sample that's contaminated to being able to put it through the analytical instruments and having it detect the contaminants and pollutants that we're concerned about, which are the artificial sweeteners that I've mentioned before in passing. Really what an important purpose of my type of research is taking this huge, I mean, relatively huge, let me activate my pointer, okay. This 50 ml water sample, I need to take this sample that I've made that is not supposed to be contaminated in any way, shape, or form. I use this instrument called the solid phase extraction device, which helps us transform this huge water sample into a very, very concentrated, smaller water sample. What is very challenging about this type of work that I have to do is that many of these white surfaces that you see, these are areas where artificial sweeteners can collect and can potentially contaminate all the hard work that I'm trying to do. Unfortunately, all of last week was focused on doing this type of work, going from this huge water sample to this very smaller water sample. And this morning when I came into the lab, I found evidence of contamination. Just to really showcase how challenging and deceiving this can be, here's some seemingly clean glassware that looks clean to the naked eye, because we can't really see the very, very small concentrations of these artificial sweeteners. But when you run it through the instrument, you really do find that it can detect, you know, Splenda and artificial sweeteners like that. So it is really aggravating to find that all this hard work that I put in the past week is all for naught. And now this week's goal is all about trying to do a better job of making uncontaminated water samples, to really demonstrate that I have the capacity to work with water samples and I'm not contaminating them in any way, shape, or form before I ask the instrument to evaluate artificial sweetener levels. Essentially, the plan of attack I have for addressing this problem is rigorous cleaning and drying of the glassware that I'm using, and going back to, you know, devices like these where there's so many surfaces where these contaminants might collect. It's really going to involve much more rigorous cleaning and a lot of wiping with chem wipes and paper towels and things like that. I really hope that these types of steps and this new plan of attack that I have will really help me address this problem, and hopefully next week I'll be able to report good news of the work that I did, and I'll be able to show that I can make these samples without any concern of contaminating them in the process. That is my first speech from managing projects successfully, and I'm going to thank you for your attention, and I'm going to return the lectern back to Carrie, our Toastmaster. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diego. It was very educational, And I learn, every time you make speech, I learn something. I wish you are my high school chemistry teacher. And also, your voice is very confident and not the unctuous voice. And I like it. Thank you, Diego. Let's go on to the next or second prepared speaker, Peter.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. It's my pleasure to deliver a speech in the humor's pathway. I believe it's called Engaging Humor. And the title of the speech is Most Agile Man in Football. So early 2000s, not to completely date myself, I was coming home from a Counting Crows concert with a group of friends. And these are friends from high school. We played sports with. The group of people was kind of a more aggressive and athletic group of people, not Clockwork Orange type, but more Varsity Blues. And to start off the story even more ironic, we were coming from a concert, Counting Crows concert, after a bunch of shenanigans. So we went to an upscale neighborhood in Metro Detroit after the concert. I was a designated driver, and I dropped off my friends, and they went inside the bar, and I went to go park the car. After parking the car, we went to, I walked to the front door, and there's a door guy there, and the bar was just completely packed. You couldn't get in, and he told me that everything is full. So I'm SOL, and I'm just standing there not knowing what to do. And I think I called cell phone and to see where they're located. And then as I'm standing there, I don't know if you guys remember the Detroit Pistons Bad Boys days, but John Spider Sally walks up and with his partner, and these are the world champions from the 80s and 90s, and they look in and, they don't get into the bar. So I'm just kind of standing there not knowing what to do. I walk over to the tree. There's a metal bench that's built around a tree. Went to the tree and sat there, and in the corner of my eye, there's also another guy sitting next to me. And I realized it's Barry Sanders. And Barry Sanders, if you're not familiar with NFL football, is arguably the greatest running back of all time. And this was the time he also voluntarily retired from football, and it caused a huge uproar in the city of Detroit, no pun intended. So I'm sitting there, and we just start making small talk and, asking, how are you doing? And he's asking me, so what are some good places to go to in this area? I'm meeting a friend. And then I tell him my situation. I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for friends too, but I can't get in this bar because it's too full. So he says, looks at me, let's give it a shot. And at this point, there's no unctuous, salivatory praise for this legend of Detroit. Not just a sports figure, but also a very good character on the field. And we walk over there, and Barry just looks at the door guy. The door guy looks at him, says, come on in, and I follow suit. So I'm like, Barry, let me introduce you to my friends. So I found out, I think I called them a little bit earlier on. They were downstairs playing pool. So let's go downstairs. So we walk down the stairs, big, long, wide staircase, and he's in front of me. He's wearing shorts and sandals, more of the biblical sandals, not the thongs, kind of the ones that wrap around your feet. And when he's walking down, all of a sudden he trips and he starts falling, and he catches the edge of his foot on the step. And this is like a long series of steps of like maybe 15 to 20 steps. And then he stumbles and catches himself on the next step with his other foot. And I'm thinking in my head, oh my goodness, this is the most agile person in sports about to tumble down the stairs. And he catches himself. He looks up at me, he smiles, and he says, oh, I just saw that lady in the red dress. And I just started cracking up. And obviously that wasn't the reason why. It was just a normal accidental trip. And then we get down to the bottom of the stairs. My friends are playing pool. I introduce them. Hey, this is Barry. Barry, this is so-and-so. And after pretty quickly, they realized who he was. And then he left. He said, I have to go meet my friend. He took off. And the rest of the night, we were just like, wow, Barry Sanders, this is like the most random, coolest thing. When we're leaving the bar, I'm driving and we're talking about Barry Sanders. My friend Mike is like, who is this Barry guy you guys keep talking about? Who's Barry? And we were like, Mike, this is Barry Sanders, you know, and he didn't believe us. And so I thought that was very hilarious that he just was clueless the whole time. And he's a fellow Lions fan and Detroit sports person. And looking back on that story, it shows that someone like Barry Sanders, who's a professional athlete, was very humble on the field, but in person, he was extremely humble, went beyond out of his way just to help a stranger, more than I think most people would do in that type of situation. And it shows that he gives back more than he receives, which actually was what happened during his football career when he played for the Lions. He gave it his all, didn't receive that much. And with the remaining time, I'm looking at the clock right now, I just wanted to share, because some of you may not know who Barry Sanders is, just wanted to show a highlight reel. You just type in Barry Sanders on YouTube and you get a highlight reel. So this is what some of his work as a football player. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Williams, number 58. Watch him freeze him. And it's Sanders looking for daylight.
Number 20.
Sanders gets the corner. Barry Sanders explodes. Finally caught from behind by Buckley.
Rodney Peete draw to Barry. Barry skirts to the 15, looks for running room, cuts to the 10, he's to the 5, and will take it in. Touchdown, Lions. Oh, that is one of the great runs you'll ever see, folks.
Second and 8. Gets the ball. Here he goes. All the way to the 3-yard line.
It's Barry, and he's open to the 10. 5, touchdown! Lions, Barry Sanders. Unbelievable.
So thank you for listening, and I hope this leaves a good impression on Barry Sanders for all of you who just remember him quitting football, but he was a very decent person.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Actually, football is not very familiar, but I really enjoy your speech. I guess that's because you're talking about excited. I really feel that excitement. So I guess that's why I really enjoyed it. I don't know the player Barry Sanders, but someone really famous is actually sometimes really right next to you, and that was really exciting moment. And I really feel your speech. Thank you so much. Okay, we move on to the next portion of this meeting. Is table topic. Tonight, our table topic master is Maurice.
All right, thank you, Carrie. Any volunteers?
I volunteer.
All right. The first table topic for tonight is summer is coming. What are your plans for this summer in spite of COVID-19?
My fellow Toastmasters, I can tell you with confidence that I'm not planning on being very unctuous in the summer vacation period because I have a lot of chemistry research that I want to pursue. So I'm going to have a very, on the weekends, I'm planning on relaxing, but I'm planning on just relaxing at the house because Monday through Friday, I really want to get a lot of work done with this chemistry research, and I really want to get my name on a future undergraduate publication. So that way I can, because I feel like many students who start their doctoral programs, they already have an undergraduate publication in their name. And I really want to make sure that I'm on a level playing ground with the other doctoral candidates that I'm going to be working with in the fall. It is upsetting that, I'm going to be spending more time working than I am going to be relaxing in the summer period, but I think it is a good sign that I really like what I do, and I don't find it to be as aggravating work as I have in other types of studies that I did. So I would say that it's going to be a lot of chemistry research, but I'm going to be wearing the masks and my face shield and things like that to keep me safe. but on the weekends I'll just be at home playing on computer and reading books, things like that. So it won't be very exciting, but it'll be a safe summer for me. I'm returning the lecture back to Maurice. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Diego. Next volunteer.
I'll try.
All right. It's a similar question with the twist. Let's say back in early March or February or January this year. What were your plans for this summer had not this COVID-19 come up?
COVID-19, I believe, changed everyone's plans, unless maybe you were a hermit living on a mountainside and then you just keep doing what you were doing. For me, being retired from my main job at the Alabama Department of Transportation, my options have always been pretty open. So my plans for the summer really haven't changed that much. I see my dad regularly and help him out. He's elderly and lives at home. And I exercise and read and visit my neighbors. The one thing that has changed is the groups I'm involved with, such as Toastmasters and a meditation center that I go to. I've not been able to meet in person with these people, and that's something I look forward to doing this summer. And also perhaps a bit of traveling. I have some friends I've been meaning to see for a long time and keep putting it off, and now this comes up, which is a good example that don't put things off, because I never know what might happen in the future. Now I can't see anybody, or at least it'd be problematic to try to travel right now. So my plans have changed, but probably not as much as other people. And really, I feel like I'm accepting of this situation. I'm happy to be alive and still breathing and relatively healthy, and just glad to be here. It's things. One of the things they teach us in meditation is happiness comes from within, not from without. So whether or not we're unable to do the things we had planned to do doesn't mean that we can't still enjoy life and be happy. Mr. Table Topics Master.
All right, thank you, David. It's 21 after, so I will relinquish the lectern back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maurice. It was interesting topics, fun topics about the COVID-19. Yeah, COVID-19 doesn't change my life much because I've been working at home for almost 10 years. Just stay home and working basically. But still missing really meet people in person. That's what I really miss. Anyway, we move on to the last part of this meeting, evaluation. Tonight, our general evaluator is Luke. Right?
All right, good evening, everybody. So I'll be the general evaluator. So before I get into the general evaluation of the meeting as a whole, I'm going to call on the ever important evaluation team. And so you'll have to forgive me. I do not have the agenda in front of me because I'm using my phone right now, so I can't click off. But who is the first evaluator? I would like to call on the first evaluator to evaluate Diego's speech.
That would be me.
Okay, David. Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you. Diego talked about, his speech title was Creating an Uncontaminated Water Sample. And it was a 2 to 3 minute speech, which is shorter than our average speech. So Diego did go a little long with that, but in my experience, even 5 to 7 minutes is difficult. I always go over 7. So I think Diego was about 4 minutes, but that's not too bad considering. And also I did detect one, I think you said, one time, which I don't know if I've ever heard Diego say that. So he's incredibly good at not having filler words. But overall, you did not have any other filler words that I could detect. I think the silence is effectively used when you are thinking, because it comes across as, I'm thinking about something, let me gather my thoughts, instead of which is just more like a nervous thing. The evaluation form I have says on the notes to Evaluator to listen for an explanation of what the member intends to accomplish, and information about the team the member has built, and a well-organized informative speech. And I don't know if you actually had a team or were working on your own, but the other two you did quite well with. I thought it was well-organized and informative, and you explained what you intended to accomplish. And also I thought it was very important that you shared with us that you did have a failure with a contaminated sample. So it's good to not just talk about successes, but talk about where our shortcomings are, where we could use improvement. And it kind of gets it more of a personal level. It's like anybody can mess things up, and it's or not necessarily that you messed it up, but the experiment itself, or it can be difficult to accomplish. I thought that your clarity was really good. I could understand everything you said. The vocal variety could use some work, as can mine. I'm like Mr. Monotone, I think, but that's just such a difficult thing. The next speech I do actually is on a topic of vocal variety that I've already put in forward. So and the other comment, and that's what you excelled at, and you explained the process well. But the things you may want to work on, I put, even with screen sharing, there's still, you're still in the other window. So it's important to know that it's good to still make contact with the audience. And you did start doing that, but the first part of the speech, it seemed like you were more concentrating on the screen sharing part of it. And so I said to challenge yourself just to use Zoom to practice speaking as if you're at an actual podium, even when you're screen sharing. And that's pretty much in a nutshell everything I had. I think, as always, you give a good speech, and I think Toastmasters is is incredible what you've accomplished, and I really appreciate you being our president this year. So thank you. And Mr. General Evaluator.
All right, thanks, David, and thanks for the very thorough evaluation of Diego's speech. And so now I would like to call on our second evaluator, and that is going to be, I believe, Sean.
Thank you, Luke. Tonight, Peter, I'm evaluating Peter's speech, which was titled "The Most Agile Man in Football," and I really thought it was a treat to hear that story, because I followed Barry Sanders, followed his career, and actually was a fan of the Lions for a little bit. Although my heart's always with the Buccaneers, but where I grew up. But Barry Sanders was that's a pretty big deal to come across Barry Sanders just on a whim. So that was a pretty cool story. So on the speech itself, you definitely excelled in the eye contact and vocal clarity. You seemed very calm in the speech, and your storytelling ability and being able to group those events together and really engage the audience was really what made the speech a hit for me. So the one thing you may want to work on, Peter, is vocal variety. I think a little bit of bringing up your voice and vocal variety when Barry Sanders was in the corner of your eye. It was somebody that is a legend. That would have helped, but it was overall a really interesting speech and great story. Also, hand gestures. Challenge yourself. Use hand gestures. I know it's a Zoom meeting, so it's a little challenging depending on where our camera's positioned, and vocal variety again. And so on clarity, I gave you a 4, in that you seemed very calm in your speech, and also that reflected in your vocal, in your speech, your vocals. Then vocal variety, that's something to work on. Also, audience awareness, I gave you a 4 on that. Vocal variety, a 2. Eye contact, a 3. Gestures, a 3, although I couldn't really tell, but comfort level, 3. The interest. So at the very end of your speech, just keep in mind that when we're sharing a video via Zoom, sometimes it can come in choppy. And, you know, of course it was fun to watch all that, but at the same time it comes in choppy, and it kind of doesn't do the video justice when it comes in choppy. So just kind of keep that in mind. And I don't know what your feedback was on your first speech, so I don't know how to gauge that, but maybe we can talk about that a little bit. And that concludes my evaluation for Peter's speech.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sean. So now both of our speech evaluations are complete. So we will move on with the rest of the evaluation team. So first, I would like to call on our timer, Majid, to give us a report.
Evening, everybody. So just to read out the timings, the first prepared speech from Diego was 4 minutes and 8 seconds. The second prepared speech from Peter Saw was 6 minutes and 40 seconds. And on the table topic, the first table topic that Diego did was 1 minute and 40 seconds. The second table topic that David did was 1 minute and 55 seconds. And the first general evaluation by David was 3 minutes and 25 seconds. And almost to the strange part, the second evaluation that Sean did was also 3 minutes and 25 seconds. So exactly same time for general evaluation. With this, I relinquish the lectern back to General Evaluator Lou.
All right, thanks, Majid. So next on our evaluation team, I would like to call on our awe counter to give us a report.
The awe counter for this evening, I did, on Diego's speech, I did not notice any filler words. On Peter's speech, I heard 3 you knows and 1 On David's evaluation, I heard 2 ums and 2 uhs. I did not notice any filler words on the table topics. And then I probably, when I did my second evaluation, I had caught myself doing a few ums myself. So that's the counter report for tonight.
All right, thanks, Sean. And so last on the evaluation team is the grammarian, and that is myself. So I do have to admit that I would start intently listening to both speeches, the evaluations and everything, and I tend to sometimes forget that I'm the grammarian and I'm looking or listening for this inconsistent or not correct grammar in the English language. So I did not hear any tonight. And but for the word of the day, I do have 3 people that used it. Carrie, I believe you used it once, maybe twice, but I'm not sure if you said anxious or unctuous. Peter, I have you used it once, and Diego also 1 time for Diego. So I hope I didn't miss anybody else tonight, but that was definitely an interesting word. So moving on to the general evaluation. I have us starting tonight. The meeting was right out about 5 minutes late, which is not a big deal, especially when we're reassigning roles and everything. It does happen. But the only part of our meeting that it truly affected, I feel, was the table topics, because we only got 2 in, and normally we have a little bit more time for that. But other than that, I thought we had a great meeting. I really enjoyed both speeches, and I thought the evaluations were effective, and yeah, so I think overall it was a great meeting, and I will relinquish the lectern back to our Toastmaster, Carrie.
Thank you so much, Luke. Okay. I don't think we have Cheyenne here. Is she here?
No,
No.
she's absent.
So no educational overview tonight. That's good. That's fine. I guess that's okay. Go back to our president, Diego.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you all so much tonight for stepping up and taking on important meeting roles in the effort of providing a nice learning atmosphere. We have covered the important club business tonight, and oh, it does seem that we are finishing about 10 minutes early. I was concerned about that. Can we, so next week, I'm looking at next week's agenda. Maurice is scheduled to speak. Majid is scheduled to speak. And I don't remember if I sent out the June 15th agenda, but I do have it pulled up right now. Luke, are you planning on being here next week?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Will you please be general evaluator?
Sure.
Excellent. David, are you available next Monday to be first evaluator?
Sure, I can do that again.
Thank you. Let's see. I put Kyler and Cheyenne down, but I can't ask them for a role because they're not here. Peter, would you be willing to be table topics master next week?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Carrie, would you please be Toastmaster again?
Sure. Okay, I'll do that.
Great. Sean, can I ask you to be can I ask you to do an education overview next week?
Sure.
Thank you, Sean. And then let's see. Is there anyone else who's on this call whose name I haven't assigned? Maurice. Oh wait, no, yeah, Maurice is doing a speech, of course. Okay, that's a very important role. Okay, I think we have 99% of the role filled out, which is great. So we're looking forward to Maurice's and Majid's speeches next week. Oh, and a reminder again, next week will be our open house. So please share this with your coworkers, share this with your friends, share the Zoom link or the Zoom invitation, whatever is better. So that way we get as many eyes and on our group, and hopefully we can attract more membership for our team. Okay, folks, I think that covers the general purposes of the meeting, and I will adjourn the meeting. And now I think the officers can just stick around and speak a minute about transition of roles. So thank you all so much for attending tonight.